What's up guys? Welcome back. Today we are doing a full henna hand design. If you've been watching my previous videos, you know that we have been practicing all of the important elements of great henna designs. So today we're going to be doing it on the acrylic practice hand. They're in the shop now if you need one, and they're really great because if you do mess up, you can always just wipe it away and start over again, and it doesn't leave a stain, which is really great. So for the design, I want to start with a border, which is generally how I like to start all of my freestyles, and I'm going to do one that's horizontally going across, and so we're going to begin right here. So we're starting by draping a line, and we're going to build onto it to create a nice horizontal border. And then I'm going to fill in to create a thicker line, because as I always say, you want to oscillate between thick and thin lines to really create an impactful henna design. And this is a totally freestyle design because I want to give you an idea of my thought process, and a lot of it, again, like I mentioned, is things that we've gone over already, so hopefully that will tie in everything that we've been learning into a beautiful full hand design. So once we have the scallops, I like to use the finger to get an idea of where the center is, and we're going to do a dot, simple dot right there. And if you want to make it a little bit thicker like I do, you can just build onto it. And then I'm going to outline it. And next I want to do some petals. And so I'm going to just basically eyeball it, but I know that I want the center, and I want the center to kind of line up in between these two petals, because I want to finish off this design with some leaves. So I like to start with the middle one first and then go alongside like that. And so now I want to create some shading in the leaves to give a really nice look to it. So what I'm doing is a technique where you're using hardly any pressure at all, and you're just kind of lightly going up and down just to create that look. So it is a lot lighter, as you can see from the outside petal, and so this will give a two-tone effect when the stain is there. And then I like to finish, of course, with dots, and I'm going to finish this little border with some dots too, and then to me that looks good to go for the end of the design. So now we're going to be moving up towards the hand and the fingers. So to switch, we're going to finish this border with some more scallops. So someone asked me recently about the scallops, and they were saying they were having difficulty getting them to be evenly across, and so I kind of wanted to show you what you can do with that. So basically, with hardly any pressure at all, you can just lightly sketch a line. That way it'll give you a good idea on when to end them. So don't worry, it looks like that now, but you're going to cover it. So now you can use that as a point, a marking point, so that way you won't go too high or too low. So once we finish that, I want to create a little bit more depth to the border, because you can kind of see the wrist here, it still hasn't fully transitioned into the hand. And so in order to kind of give it a more bracelet look, I'm going to go in with some thicker scallops. And so for this one, I like to basically do these really thin at first, and then we're going to drape a line across the top of these like this, and then we are going to fill it in. This part is really fun. And remember, henna is very much a meditation, so you can go as fast or slow as you want. And it's like coloring almost. So once we have that done, just want to make sure you get all the way up to the edge there, and you can fill in anything as you need. All right, and so now we're going to go all the way across again, like this. And then we are going to do some more simple scallops. I'll go ahead and link a bunch of the previous videos where we go over borders for you if you want to check that out in the description. So now I want to start thinking of how I want the layout to be, and what I'm feeling right now, because like I said, this is a freestyle, I want to do a border that has more of that temple shape. But first I want to build the center, and I want it to be a flower since we have also gone over that before. So I'm going to start with a swirl in the center. So again, using either this or the finger, get an idea where the center is, and then I'm just going to go in with a nice big swirl. Finish with a nice dot. And I'm going to use really tiny scallops. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger of a centerpiece for the flower. So to create some continuity, I want to use very similar petals to the ones that we did here. And then basically once I do that, I'm going to do also the same shading technique. This one I'm trying to get the middle petal to line up with the middle finger, so just keep that in mind. And now again, the same shading technique. That's one thing you can kind of think about when you're creating a freestyle design, is creating elements that are similar in a somewhat repeating fashion. So even though I changed the inside of the flower, I kept the petals the same just to kind of make it look a little bit similar and kind of make it a little bit more elegant, I guess you could say. And now again, like I mentioned, I want to do a temple border. So in order to do that, I'm going to kind of use this finger to kind of get an idea where the point will be. And then I'm going to start here and here. And so what I like to do is lightly sketch first. So I do one side and then I do the other. Try to make sure it's fairly even. And then this one is going to have 3 kind of humps to it. And again, we're starting really light, so just think of it like a sketch. And now this one, we're ending right there and doing the same on the other side. So now once you have that, which again doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to be going in with a thick line, and you can kind of adjust it from there. So one thing I kind of felt was that this side was a little bit lower, so what I'm going to do is, instead of outlining on the inside, I'm going to do it on the top. That way we can kind of get it to be a little bit more even. That is one benefit of doing a light sketch first. So now once you have that, I want to go in and kind of create a little beaded look to it, which will also kind of fill in the gaps on the side here. So I'm going to add some dots like this. Next, I'm going to build up the center here, working up towards the top. So we're going to add scallops all the way around. And again, to create continuity, I'm going to do the same little cluster of leaves. And I'm going to finish with dots. One thing I really like to do as well with this kind of design is I'll do another set of beads going in towards the center motif here. And that is that part. I'm going to keep it fairly simple because this is intermediate. And to continue on, I'm going to create a little outline for this temple-shaped border. I'm going to do a second layer. And just remember, we're channeling our energy into this design. So now again, as you can see, we did that side with scallops, and just like we did here, I want to show you that you can also still use guidelines if you're not feeling 100% confident, especially going over a curved border like this. So you just lightly trace, and then you are good to go. One thing I'll mention is when it is curved, I like to do it all the way down, and then I'll switch directions. Go like this all the way down, and then start from the top like this. So there's that part. So now we're going to be moving on to the fingers, and one thing I want to kind of show you is how you can incorporate vines on the fingers, because that's something that I actually really like doing. So to begin though, I want to start a V shape. So I'm actually going to start with the middle finger and create a V line here. And then I'm going to take this to the other finger. And then you have to kind of estimate a little bit. Of course, this is a hand, whereas on an actual client, the thumb can kind of move around a little bit. But just to kind of give you an idea. And then now we're moving on to the other side. Like that. And there's that, just to kind of give you a really cool and elegant look to the fingers. Now I'm going to be creating little borders for each finger. I kind of like to do this alternating from one finger to the other, as you can see. You could just do one finger first, kind of get an idea, and then move on. And one last round of draped lines. So again, if you do struggle with draping your lines, I do have a whole video which I will link down below. And now I'm going to fill the inside for each finger. And now we'll do the scallops. I'm going to do it on either side for each finger. If you do end up following along and recreating this design, definitely tag me. I always love seeing your guys' recreations. It's always so cool to see that, you know, people are getting value out of these videos. And if you have anything that you want me to kind of cover in a video, as always, you know, you can leave that in the comments down below. I always take note of everything you guys say, although, you know, it does take some time to get to everything, but I do hope to create more and more videos for you guys. Alright, so now that we've done the scallops, I'm going to transition this part using vines. So I'm going to create actually 2 lines. You could do one, but for me personally, I love the look of this little gap in between when you put the vines on either side. I think it just gives it a good transition. It doesn't seem too bunched together, and yeah. One thing that could be hard though is figuring out where to do it, because it's obviously not the center, so you do have to kind of account for it being on kind of on the side of the center basically. So in other words, you know, if this is the center, you have to make sure you do the line just a little bit across. And of course the thumb is going to be a little bit shorter, but that's okay. Alright, so it looks a little funky now, but now we're going to add the leaves. So as you can see here, because I am right-handed, I'm starting with the left-hand side, so I like to work left to right. Otherwise, sometimes I feel like it's a little bit easier to accidentally smudge it as you're working, so definitely keep that in mind. And as you can see, sometimes it runs into the border, so you can kind of just stop it or make it a little bit smaller. But ideally, you kind of want to kind of get it just right so you can do a full-size leaf. And again, too, one thing I have mentioned before is I like to kind of use my non-working hand to kind of anchor my wrist, and this will also prevent you from accidentally smudging it. So now, once you've finished the vines, one thing I like to check for is, to me, it does kind of seem a little bit empty in these spaces. So generally I kind of like to fill that in a little bit with some dots. So for this one, I want to do like a pyramid of dots, but you can also just kind of outline it like that as well. You can do it however you like. The most important part, of course, is having fun. And now moving on to the fingers. So I want to keep it somewhat simple, not too complicated. And again, I want to incorporate things that we've done and worked on in the past. So I am going to do some swirls. So again, starting with the pinky first, doing these swirls and vines, which we went over recently. One thing I will do is kind of get an idea of which direction I want them to go first, and then I will actually switch the direction on the other side, as you will see soon. So you can kind of see that we started with the swirl kind of veering off to the left side, and then now we're going to be veering off towards the right side. This is one of my favorite ways to end the fingers. I think it's just super fun and flowy, and it looks really consistent. and I just love kind of like the mirrored effect. So once we get to the center though, I do like to change it up a little bit. So because we have a little bit more space, because the middle finger generally is longer, I actually want to start with a small little swirl and some little scallops here. And then I'm going to do these little half circle petals all the way around. And again, I'm going to be using the same cluster of little leaves to end it. And finishing off just like that. And I like to look first. A lot of times I can see areas that I might want to add to. For example, right here I kind of feel like I want to add some dots, so that's kind of the fun part of doing a freestyle design, is you can kind of add onto it a little bit later if you feel like there's an empty spot. For example, here I just kind of want to add dots. Of course, every hand is different, so you would likely be able to carry this over the curve of the hand of an actual client. And other than that, a lot of times I'll add just little clusters of dots just to make it feel a little bit more, I guess you can say, decorated. I feel like sometimes there's a little bit empty space. And then I'll add kind of these similar little vine swirls that we did, but in a much smaller fashion, just to give a little bit more detail. And lastly, a few more dots just to finish it off. And to me, that looks good. That is it for this design. Alright, so there we have it, an intermediate henna design for the full hand. Let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.